Welcome to Geeks Corner Reports. I'm Mr. DAPs.
And I'm Johnny Five.
And I'm Murray the Bellhop.
And the internet was abuzz today with news that J.J. Abrams was leaving the Enterprise in favor of the Millennium Falcon, and he will be the next director of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Initial thoughts?
Cool.
That was an initial thought. How about you, Murray?
I think it's great. I think it's a good fit.
Is it?
I think so.
Are you not worried about it at all, or you think it's 100% perfect?
No, not 100%.
Not 100%? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about Star Trek losing its basically savior to Star Wars?
I think he got Star Trek back in motion.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a good. Well, we still have yet to see the second one.
Yeah,
so
what if the second one's all
So
this
maybe it
hype
is
and then
good.
it's like,
Maybe-
oh, it's
yeah,
horrible.
Check the upload date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I predict it'll be super, just like Star Wars Episode 1 for every Star Wars fan.
Oh.
No, I'm imagining from what I've seen and heard, the new Star Trek will be good, and so he's leaving it in a good time, maybe before he can ruin anything. If he
Quit
could,
while you're ahead.
if he could, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it's prime maybe to get some kind of fresh blood, even some fresh faces into the Star Trek
Franchise.
franchise,
And not
So,
finish the trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, right.
Because it has been talked about up until
Yeah.
today that this was part 2 of a 3-part Star Trek
Yeah.
thing. And now it probably will still be a 3-part thing, but he might be a producer role instead of directing.
Right.
Yes, Johnny.
Because you've been seeing this face for like 5 minutes now.
We've been filming that long.
Right? It's time warp. I don't believe that it's necessarily mutually exclusive. Like, I understand it would
I
be
agree with you.
difficult, but I think JJ can we call you JJ? I think Senor Abrams will be able to do Star Wars Episode 2 and then go back and do Star Trek Episode 3 and maybe come back for Star Wars Episode 7, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
7 minus 5 is 2, and that's what counts.
You had the numbers. Just,
Yeah, you know what I mean. Sure. But, I don't think that because he's doing Star Wars, he now no longer can do Star Trek. I think he
I
will be able to
actually
make
think
those
that
decisions.
Star Wars is a better fit for J.J. Abrams than Star Trek, because really Star Trek took a new direction with J.J. Abrams, a much more action and explosions and fast-moving thing, whereas before J.J., Star Trek has always been more of a thinking movie. It's more of a, broad themes, what's going to win, the immovable object or the unstoppable force. And now it really became all the explosions. The other thing that really popped into my mind when I first noticed that this was happening is when they were making the last Star Trek movie, J.J. Abrams kept talking about what a Star Wars fan he was growing up and how Captain Kirk, he was getting a little bit of influence from Han Solo, and there was
I can see that
all
now.
of these, and really, like, watch the movie, and there's a lot of Star Wars moments, like there's the monster chasing him through the snow that felt like it was totally out of Star Wars.
Hoth. It was very
Yeah,
Hoth-like.
it was very Hoth-like, and just the whole,
How many times can we say Hoth-like in this one episode?
I don't know
Find out.
how
Should we
many.
start counting?
Count the number of times we say Hoth-like?
Yeah.
Okay, you do that. And it felt almost more Star Wars-ish than traditional Star Trek.
One for Star Wars-ish.
Yes. So that being said, J.J. Abrams also has a lot of history with the Star Wars franchise. Just, the Kathleen Kennedy, worked with Steven Spielberg, who was a mentor to J.J. Abrams, and, even the music. Like Michael Giacchino has said that John Williams is one of his big influences. So it's kind of a cool, you have this team of movie makers passing it on to a new team of movie makers, and
So they're making Star Wars The Next Generation?
yes. Well, that's true too, because it's supposedly about the next generation of Jedi coming up too.
Yeah.
And it's
Jedi.
yeah. What?
They're kind of Hoth-like.
But
We can stop with Hoth-like because we got to 5. We have 4 more for Star Wars-ish, but now only 3.
okay, yeah, and yeah.
So J.J. Abrams, yeah.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams. It really is. I think he's got the feel. One of the things that will be interesting to me is he likes to work. We were talking about this earlier. He likes to work in ambiguity. Like, he doesn't like to have the moral absolutes of this guy's good, this guy's bad. You have to have that grayness. And Star Wars has been more of a good versus bad. You know, you have the dark side of the Force and the light side of the Force. And, you know,
Like duct tape.
your good guys are good, really good, and your bad guys are really bad, other than Luke. Because Luke kind of went into that gray area as,
Well, that's
as the
important for
movies
the
progressed.
because Star Wars, more than anything, I think is a saga. I think it can be classified as a
hero's
saga
journey.
more than a trilogy. Like
Yeah.
even the original 3 were a saga story.
Especially.
And in that mode of storytelling, like the hero has to almost has to be in that point where he can go either way. And that's where all that great conflict comes from. If it's for certain, I am good, I will always be good, and nothing can ever change me, then it's not as interesting to watch. So you have to see him get almost close enough and then fight against it.
Or maybe turn to the bad
Or maybe
side.
turn. If you don't know which way, because also tip to anyone who has not seen Star Wars, or if you know someone who hasn't seen Star Wars, they still exist.
Then why are you watching this show?
Yeah. Pause right here. Watch all 6
There's
movies.
no point in
But-
watching.
Sorry, but really, you got to get up right
The-
now and go see.
Yeah, the
Star
official
Wars.
order is you have to watch 4, 5, 6,
Yes.
and then watch 1, 2, 3. Because if you know everything in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are no longer.
And preferably
Interesting.
find an older version of 4, 5, and
Watch
6.
it on
Yes.
VHS.
Because we were watching the Blu-ray
Not
the other
Blu-ray.
night,
Yeah.
and they've added lines that weren't necessarily wonderful things.
It looks nice for the most part, but
They
it's
added
gonna ruin you.
syllables. I
Yeah.
think people get
Yeah.
too worked up over syllables. Just it's 2 syllables, dude. Get over it.
They were bad.
had
They
big
were bad.
meaning.
So
Yes,
here's a
but,
question
just
I
mute
have
it for like
you guys.
A second. Yeah.
Comments.
J.J.
If you've seen
Abrams obviously is the king of reboots. Like, most of what he's done has been a reboot of something else. So do you think with Star Wars, he goes in and he tries to reboot it? Or does he really work hard to keep the story continuing forward and pick up right where, or not necessarily right where, but pick up from where Return of the Jedi leaves off somewhere down the line and doesn't make a whole new world of it? What do you think? Go ahead. Murray, go ahead.
Yeah, you first. Go.
I think he's
Didn't
got to
say
reboot
ladies
it.
first. Go ahead, Murray. Sorry.
I think he's got to reboot it in some ways
Mm-hmm.
for kind of a fresh audience. And even I think 1, 2, and 3 were a little rebooted in some ways. It wasn't-
Clearly, hugely.
Yeah. So I think he can take a fresh fresh take, but I'm almost a little afraid of like how fresh of a take, because even 1, 2, and 3 still had that feel. Abrams' direction and production and camera work is pretty different. I mean, Star Trek looked really different from any other
Oh, yeah, hugely.
Star Trek movie.
I mean, really, this is the time, I think, to ask the question, lens flares.
Yeah. Yep.
Are they going to be everywhere in Star Wars, which they are a little bit in the newer
Can
trilogy?
you have lens
But-
flares on lightsabers? That's
Yeah.
is that-
like,
if you're
What I-
some
I'm
physics
blind.
professor or anything, can you tell us if you can have lens flares?
Or just a
on
really
lightsabers?
big fan.
Yes.
Is it?
I think so.
Well, let's
Is it
let them
bright
decide.
enough light? We all have skepticism. What I'm interested in
Yeah.
is one of the things you'll notice in the original series, and I'm not as familiar with the cinematography necessarily of the
new
1, 2,
series.
3,
Mhm.
but in 4, 5, 6, everywhere you get iris effects. I think, or like wipes.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
those kind of
Those very-
really old school tradition
Right.
transitions, and they're not modern cinematography, and I think I don't see them anywhere else other than Star Wars. So I'm wondering, will that continue? Because it almost gives it like a comic book feel of you're transitioning to the next panel of the movie. So I almost feel like if those aren't there, it's not a Star Wars movie. Like you can use all the Star Wars
And they
characters
did
you
use
want.
some of those occasionally in the new movies, too.
Okay. Because you have to. That's what makes it feel like it's in the same universe. This universe exists with wipes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That-
Yeah. I would like to see that. So here's the next question. Do you think in the future of Star Wars that's in the past,
It's
we
the
will
future
see...
past.
Yes. You twit face.
I actually have a theory. If you're a Once Upon a Time fan, you follow the show. I wonder if there's going to be a time that they venture into.
The future, the
Like
past.
Star
The
Wars.
fast,
I want
yeah.
Princess
Galaxy.
Leia in Once Upon a Time. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow, that
yeah.
just that took a
Yes.
huge turn. So my question is, are we going to see X-Wings? Are we going to see Star Destroyers?
Here-
Are we going to see...
I've thought about this.
Yeah.
I've thought about this because if you look at the technology that they had in 4, 5, and 6, like the style of droids, all of that, the ships, all of those things, and then you look at 1, 2, and 3, they had better technology. They had better droids, they had better ships. So in 7, 8, and 9, they probably won't have any technology at all. They have to regress further.
Wooden shit.
So it's
Yeah.
it's going to be the Stone Age, you're saying?
Yeah, basically. Their
Okay.
timeline flows back.
They're not
like,
even going to have space
their
travel
universe-
anymore. Like, they're going to be stuck
Their universe
on
is
Dagobah.
Benjamin Button. They're experiencing all of their innovations backwards.
So the thing... Yeah. I'm going to go there.
They'll
or
have candle sabers.
go a place that everybody's going to hate me for, but I think the question has to be asked. And looking on Twitter right now as we're filming this, Conan O'Brien just brought it up.
Ooh.
So if
Hi,
he
Conan.
brought it up,
Okay.
I can bring it up.
Okay.
Yoda and Jar Jar Binks.
Yojar? I think that
Yeah,
they need to
it's-
combine Yoda and Jar Jar. Not like they should, but that's the inevitable conclusion.
Yeah, we all know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the way that
Yeah.
it's all trending. Yoda and Jar Jar.
Okay, but
Yoda.
seriously, do you think, one, they're going to find a way to incorporate Yoda into the movie as a ghost, whatever, hopefully not bring him back to life, but you never know.
Maybe he's not really actually dead, and that was a hologram. And
Right.
Like they have
He
holograms
had-
in Star Wars.
So-
he had a long death.
So
scene. I
yes or
still
no?
don't understand
Yoda,
that.
yes or
It's-
no?
I think you have to. Like I think Obi-Wan probably needs to make some sort of appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Like that kind of makes sense.
That could be a trick, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I'm forgetting the actor's name.
Alec
Sir
Guinness?
Uh-huh.
Alec Guinness.
I got one.
It's long past.
Good job. Well done.
Oh, you have.
You earned your geek cred for tonight.
But Ewan McGregor.
Yeah,
Still
that was the
around.
thing that popped in my head. Are we going to
So-
bring him back? Even
Yeah,
you
and,
know?
and it's
and then
yeah.
and then if they do bring back Yoda, is it Frank Oz or is it?
Oh, it better be
Yeah.
Frank Oz.
Yeah, you would hope
well,
so.
okay, but the
And
more and more
also,
we
do you
go-
think, from a fan's perspective, J.J. Abrams is a huge fan?
Yeah.
Would he really bring back Yoda? Because honestly, I don't think it's
Yeah.
a smart move. I would like to know what people think, honestly. Yoda, yes or no? Yoda, yes or no?
Yes or no
Oh, man.
should or yes or no will?
Will.
Okay, those are two very different questions.
I
Say
would
yes
say
or no for should, and then
yes.
yes or no or will.
Oh, Will. No,
Okay, you don't think he'll be back, but you want him to.
I want him to. I would.
Okay.
I think both questions very much depend on whose story is being told, because Yoda is a very important part of Luke's story. But if it's not being told about Luke, then Yoda doesn't matter so much. Like Han Solo
Isn't
never
it
met Yoda. I
supposedly
don't think.
the rebuilding of the Jedi Order, though? I mean, that's pretty much the story that's been floated around, and
Okay.
it
And the
involves
Skywalker legacy. Still,
Yeah, it's the
and-
Skywalker
yeah.
legacy. So Yoda's very much tied into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is also, but that doesn't mean they have to be in it. I mean, they could do
Yeah.
flashbacks, I suppose, but that always goes so well.
Also,
Second, yeah, go ahead.
wasn't Luke's original name Stormkiller or what was
Starkiller.
Starkiller?
I think originally, like one of the concepts was Starkiller.
So will he bring in a
Maybe.
character named Starkiller
I don't know.
as a reference to
and
that?
he's been
you know?
known to do that,
right?
I mean,
And
go ahead.
guys, we're really forgetting the one character.
You want to go to Jar Jar now?
No,
Oh, okay.
Jack Porkins.
Oh, yeah.
Porkins.
Porkins is dead too, though.
Well,
they could flash
are
back
they
to Porkins.
are they going
Is
to bring
he?
him back?
Or his son.
Is he?
Just
Yeah.
because his spaceship blew
How
up.
cool
while
would
he
it
was
be
inside.
awesome? How cool would it be awesome?
Jack Porkins. I don't know.
Porkins comes back in a mostly mechanical suit.
Actually, he's
Darth
inside of a
Porkins.
mechanical body, and it's just this little guy.
Darth
So,
Porkins comments.
second question is, does JJ bring back Jar Jar? And if he does he kill him in the first 30 seconds? Because that's what Conan thinks will happen.
Does JJ stand for Jar Jar? Is he Jar Jar Abrams?
That's creepy.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Feel oh so sorry for him. I would call myself JJ at that point too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
It happens.
So do you think JJ will bring Jar Jar? Such a great thing to say that fast 5
Um,
times.
is Jar Jar still alive after the amount of time that 4, 5,
We
and 6
don't even
pick
know
up?
how long those things live.
Yeah, because
Like,
the one
Gungans
was
could
really
live
old.
for-
That was a
Maybe
really
they're
old
like
Gungan.
sea monkeys, though.
Yeah, I don't. How long does a sea monkey live?
No, I had some for a really
Mine
long
never
time.
lasted
Like
that
2
long,
years?
but
Um,
I kept them in coffee. Might have been my problem.
Okay, so Jar Jar, yes or no? I don't think he will be.
I don't think so either.
No.
Okay, so no on Jar Jar.
I think the fan reaction to if he's a Star Wars fan and he feels like most fans do about Jar Jar, probably not going to go that route.
Another question. Since he's such a huge Star Wars fan, is that a positive thing or a negative thing? Because sometimes when you're that big of a fan, it clouds your vision or whatever.
I'm hoping it goes the way of Jason Segel
Yeah.
and the Muppets,
That's
where
a
he was a fan and he
good
made a
analogy.
movie, and that turned out really well because he did it
Yeah.
from a place of love and respect.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if J.J. Abrams is like Jason Segel in that respect, or if they hang out or get coffee and baguettes or whatever. But
I don't know either.
don't you look at me smugly?
All right, let's move on to the
You and your
music.
Star Wars-ish face. 3.
Michael G. Kino.
Four.
Is that who you want to see write the music for the next movie? I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion that he is now doing the music for Star Wars VII. I
Especially with Abrams at the helm. They've worked.
think, like, they never
closely
go.
together,
Yeah, that
yeah.
would just be shocking to me.
Yeah.
And do you think he's the right guy for the job?
Sure.
Didn't he do some of the incidental music for Star Tours?
He did. Yeah.
Because that's my thought. Like, it's Star Wars. It has to have a lot
Star
of those
Wars
themes.
themes, yeah.
So that most of it's pre-written, basically. But then you have all the Star Wars is pretty much all underscored, isn't it? Like very.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I always loved
you have to
about
make a
Star
3-hour
Wars
piece of
is
music.
you could listen to the entire soundtrack and know exactly where you were in the story. And
like a soap opera.
yeah, or a space opera is
Star Wars: The Space Opera. Didn't they make that?
maybe.
They were all on roller skates.
But that's painful. But you know, that's something I think that's really set Star Wars apart is you can always tell where you are, not only from what's going on the screen, but where the music's taking you as well. And I think that's something that Giacchino will have to do if he's indeed the guy that does this. I can't think of anybody else other than John Williams. It's probably a good guy to jump in there.
Danny Elfman.
I disagree.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I do too.
Yeah, I was mostly just
Okay.
throwing it out there.
Yeah, and apparently Twitter is somehow watching us because I'm seeing the J.J. Abrams now standing for Jar Jar all over the place. So
See?
we started the trend right here. We're telling you, folks.
Me and Twitter.
Somehow we're connected, and it's ridiculous.
My watch says 8:51 on Thursday the 24th. Check the timestamps on those tweets.
Well, we said it like 10 minutes ago, so
Right.
we were leading right into that. Yeah, the thing I have to wonder though is this is all just about Star Wars 7. What happens with 8 and 9?
Ooh.
Does he score those too? Do you want that continuity? Does it matter? Like, I personally think part of the appeal of Star Wars is it's had that continuity. You know, you know what you're getting when you go to a Star Wars movie,
Yeah.
for the most part.
But even bringing in Abrams is just
One movie.
episode 7 too, right?
So far they've said. I mean, that's what they said with Star Trek 2, is he's just one movie, and then he ended up doing a second one. But
Well,
you know,
yeah.
and they
Why
haven't
not?
even said if it's for sure a trilogy. It could be a trilogy that's 3 separate stories that take place in the same world.
That'd be neat. But why not wait until after we see 7? And if it works, then bring them back. And if it doesn't work, find someone better.
Because that's not fun to speculate about.
But that's realistic to speculate. That's totally how the world works, is it not?
Kind of.
And that's we're here to give you the truth.
The hard facts.
Yeah.
According
You might
to
not
our
like
thoughts.
it, but that's the Star Wars-ish truth.
4.
It's 4.
Okay.
The other thing I have to wonder about is Michael Arndt's writing this story, the screenplay
Right.
for this. Abrams generally is pretty hands-on with the story. So the question that pops into my head is, have they been already working together on this? Or will he be taking a much more active role in the story? Or, you know, how that will all work out. And I don't have a good answer to that. If you do, I'd love to hear it. It's more of just discussion that will be had as things come out. The other thing is, think of the marketing for this. Like, usually you know like I'm thinking episode 1, 2, and 3 as written 1, 2, and 3. We knew everything that was going to happen in the movie, like way out. We had the soundtrack before the movie was out. Like all of these things were available to us
Kept
really
releasing
early.
pictures as production went on, and
Abrams does not let anything out.
No.
Like he gives
That's
little
true.
tiny teasers.
Half the time you walk out of the film and you don't know what the
sometimes,
monster was.
Yeah, but is Star Wars going to be run that way also? And are we going to literally walk into Star Wars not knowing what we're getting? Like, I don't even know if Disney can do that, honestly. Pixar does it pretty well.
I think what's refreshing about Episode 7
Mm-hmm.
is with 4, 5, and 6 made, when we went and saw 1, 2, and 3, maybe we didn't know the details of what was going to happen in the plot. Like I
But
try
we
not
knew
to
the
read plot
ship was
summaries,
going to sink at the
but I
end
mean,
of the movie.
you know
Yeah.
where that's going to end up, and it's just a matter of figuring out how. This one, you know the starting point, but you have no clue where this story is going.
That's
so
true.
For the first time in Star Wars history, as far as my lifetime is concerned, I can sit down in a Star Wars film and have no clue what's coming up, and have no
Exactly.
cultural references, have no previous clues.
Well, and the
I would
nice
love
thing
that if
too
there's
is
no
that
clue.
gives Michael Arndt and Lawrence Kasdan, and I'm forgetting the third screenwriter at the moment,
remember too.
but it gives everybody all of that freedom to
Mm-hmm.
take the story wherever the heck they want it to go, and that's a pretty exciting thing, I would think,
Oh yeah,
for a filmmaker and a film writer and all of those things.
because one of the things that I learned about playwriting that stuck with me to this day is that basically the best way to write a story is that everything follows logically from something that happened before, but it's still unexpected. It can't completely come out of nowhere, but it's got to use the same rules of the universe. It's got to use all those great Star Wars-ish devices, but still surprise us with how they interact.
Yeah.
So I'm looking.
And I'm
forward to those
hoping
surprises.
there's more acting and less talking, like more.
a little less conversation, a little more action, please.
Yeah, and that seems like that's something that JJ is pretty good at also. Like he keeps things moving along. I would love for us to, go ahead.
Well, it would change a little bit direction, and it was just the acting triggering. Abrams tends to use some of the same people in a lot of his movies, and even
It's true.
if you know who Greg Grunberg is,
He's in everything, right?
He's in everything.
Yeah.
Abrams has something, or sometimes he's just a
it might be a
voiceover
little
sort of
role,
thing,
but yeah.
So,
I think he's
Is-
going to play R2.
oh, okay.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that must be
Yeah.
it.
And RT will finally speak.
No, he's
Greg Grunberg.
making
Yeah.
that up. Yeah, but yeah,
But is he going to use some of the common
Mm-hmm.
actors and actresses that he uses in a lot of his films?
Is Simon Pegg going to be in Star Wars?
Ooh.
Like he's the biggest
Simon-
geek out there,
yeah,
and he
he's
loves
wanted
JJ.
to do
Well, he'd got to be
Star
part of the
Wars.
Empire because they're British.
And
I'm
he'll be
sure
one of the
he could do
first
an
strangled,
accent.
even though Darth Vader's gone,
Maybe he'll
but-
be the first
yeah.
good guy British guy
Yeah,
in Star Wars.
What happens to all the Empire people who now no longer have?
Yeah, because they were just following orders.
Dude, those were the droids we were looking for.
Who knew? Yeah. And what happens to all of, I hope they go into what happens to all of the stormtroopers.
And
there's
who's
so
the new
much
enemy?
there's
Yeah.
so much fallout.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's always popped into my head that everybody just assumes it's all fine and dandy after Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, unless you read all the books. But let's throw those out because apparently they're not canon anymore. They never were 100%. But the question in my head is clearly there's a political void. Clearly
Ooh.
there's all of these military ships
Vacuum
and
of power.
and yeah, there's a vacuum of power, and there's lots of powerful things still around,
So-
which means that really sets it up for another, dictator to come in. I mean, there's room for a new villain.
I think it's whoever is going to be able to figure out a welfare system for all of the out-of-work stormtroopers.
That's probably true. What do you? I honestly don't know. Like, I
Just-
hope that's a detail that's not just thrown aside.
For the first time, Star Wars will open with just a scene of these stormtroopers standing around and
Without helmets.
yeah.
It's like all these guys that look the same.
Yeah.
What do you want to do today? I don't know. What you want to do? But yeah, that's an
I
interesting.
know what we're gonna do today.
Don't stop that again. Jungle Book? No.
It's been so long.
Oh, it's
That's not very Star Wars.
We are
I got
close.
to.
it's the vultures.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
the
my
Beatles
entire circle was, what do you want to do today? I don't know what you want to do today. And the vultures are saying,
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yes.
Oh, well, we tried. But
And failed.
so the last thing that's popping into my head that there's going to be tons more as time comes out is think before we saw the Star Trek preview for The Hobbit. It was like Bad Robot, Paramount, and some other like production company.
I know what you're going to say.
So we got rid of the 20th Century Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So now is it going to be Lucasfilm, Bad Robot, Disney, whatever else? Like how many
At
production
what point,
companies are going to be in front of this?
'cause
And
here's-
at what point does Disney just say, nope, it's just our castle?
Yeah, because in a lot of films, like if you have heavy effects, match move, CG, all of
Yeah,
these
they
things,
want-
at
they
the
want-
end of the credits, all of a sudden there's like 9 companies that all work on
Right.
effects. At what point do those companies get front of line credit for the film versus,
When the director owns the company? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like when does it say
The director
Paramount
is the
Bad
company.
Robot?
Yeah.
When does Bad Robot just become a footnote in the bottom of the credits versus the top billing? That's interesting.
So I don't know.
Really?
Like I honestly don't. It just popped into my head was like, how many things are going to be replacing Fox?
Yeah, I think
Fox is Hufflepuff.
this might-
And the house cup came here now.
I think I might be wrong, but
That's
No,
a
I'm
good way to
usually-
start a sentence. I think I might be wrong.
this might be
but
way off. But donkeys in Star Wars. No, I don't know. No, that was.
on the Millennium Falcon.
But usually the company logo is also according to if somebody has a
Producer credit?
production
Okay.
credit. So Abrams doesn't have that. He just has the.
I'm sure he will though.
Yeah, it is
Like,
possible.
We'll have to look into
knowing
contract
how-
stuff.
Knowing how Abrams works though, I haven't seen anything that he's done where he hasn't been a producer also in recent
But
era.
it's also, I mean, still somewhat Lucasfilm, which they've always been
They're
pretty
big.
controlling. And
They're kinda big.
And you've got Disney, who's pretty controlling.
hugely
and
big, and they're very
And
controlling
so-
too. But JJ's the same way. Like he's really particular with the stuff he
But
does.
the big, I mean, I don't think he would have.
You got to give it up to the big.
So here's the question: Bad Robot before the opening Star Wars, which I'm assuming will still be there. I hope. I would be completely disappointed if we don't have the big yellow Star Wars.
I
flying
don't
through.
think that's
Yeah.
possible. That
Um,
has to. It's.
It'll be there. So
It's a
Bad
character.
Robot, yes or no?
I think no.
I bet you he's going to make the Bad Robot into an actual droid in the film.
Oh,
Like that's going to
there's a
ramble
good.
past
I think.
at some point.
I think it's going to be there.
Yeah.
I think it will be somehow in the thing. I would be shocked if he didn't.
I can't imagine. I can't see it though.
I
And I can't see
either.
Disney either.
It would have
Like,
to. Well,
I
yeah,
can't picture
because
this.
it's going to be that CG.
But here it comes down to
castle
it comes down to this question: what other what other director in Hollywood could really pull this off? That's
And I
even
totally-
remotely,
I had it
pull
in my
off
head
the movie
and
at
I
all,
forgot
or
it 'cause
just.
there was some we were joking about. But there was
directing
another-
this,
there was
directing
another
this
person
movie and
thinking
taking it
The-
because really
right.
the bar is so high.
It would have to be Spielberg, but he would never do it.
But that's
One of
not
the-
his type of movie.
of. What
Right.
about one of the
Well-
Harry Potter directors?
I feel like it's on a different level.
Or
James
no,
Cameron.
No.
No.
Oh, James Cameron and Peter
No.
Jackson.
No.
No.
Maybe Peter
what's
Jackson, but you don't
I'm
think
gonna-
of him with sci-fi space stuff. Like
No,
he's
it's a different.
he's
epic.
good at creating that medieval.
But it's. I mean, if there's any.
Joss
that could
Whedon,
Huh?
crossover.
That's
The
what I was trying to
Avengers
come up
2.
with. Joss Whedon.
but he's working on the
Or,
Avengers too,
Who's the guy? Who's the
In
guy
the
who did
TV show.
Cloverfield?
and the TV show.
was Abrams.
That was
Oh.
Abrams.
Yeah.
No, I'm then the Star Trek reboot. Who did that one?
That would be Abrams also.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I can't think of anyone then.
I mean, really, it's hard to think of somebody that has the weight to be able to pull off Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Clint Eastwood.
I don't think he could do it. I don't think he's the right guy
Yeah.
for the job. He doesn't do that type of movie. You have to have that very niche, epic quality to you, and there just aren't that many directors that do that. It's
Julie Taymor.
if you want it to be
I had to.
if you want it to be a
Couldn't keep a straight
musical where
face on
people
that
are
one,
getting
huh?
hurt all along the way. Yeah.
I would dare say, but I don't think either one of these guys are up to Abrams' par, but somebody like Jerry Bruckheimer or Gore Verbinski.
I could kind of see that.
But I don't personally like everything that they've done.
Yeah.
And so for them to do something, it just...
I got one.
Either one of them.
I just want to see.
Oh no.
Because you have to just take a second longer than you want to respond. Frank Oz. Because he's directed.
Yeah.
Frank Oz has directed, and he was a character in Star Wars also.
Yeah.
So he kind of understands it.
I don't know.
Right?
And that's why he wouldn't do it, is because everybody would go, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you want somebody that goes, yeah, like no questions asked. That's why Whedon could do it. Nobody would, after the Avengers, you could put him pretty much in any, you could put him in Star Trek, you could put him in Star Wars, anything. And it's like done deal, no big deal. Like they'll love it. Yeah. I just can't think of any.
But still, JJ is a really good choice.
Oh, I think he's the best choice.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one at the top of my lists months ago. He just said he wasn't going to do it. So either he was teasing us and not telling the truth. Would he do that? Yes.
Or they let him put the bad robot logo first.
Well, I think too is, think you've grown up seeing these movies. Mm-hmm. They're giving you probably an amazing contract. They're probably giving you tons of opportunities, and your name is going to go on a series that has a legacy unlike any other. You have to be pretty dumb to not take it.
I don't know, because there's a lot of pressure.
Sure, but he already took on Star Trek and flew with that. So really, like, if he can do that.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm. Did you like my little Enterprise Millennium Falcon thing at the beginning too?
I did, and I was going to compliment you, but we moved on too quickly. Yeah.
It's because I was focused.
Right?
But yeah, I just don't know who else could get to do it. Like, and I don't see why he would, like, it didn't make sense to me him saying no at the time when he said from day one of Star Trek how much of a Star Wars fan he was. And yeah, so that's my thought. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Star Wars with J.J. Abrams that we're not going to call Jar Jar?
That's going to catch on in the Twitterverse.
It's already catching on. I mean, it's all over the place.
Before this airs, it's already catching on.
I've got a Star Wars feed going right here, and it's just like, J.J. Abrams, J.J. Abrams.
Final thought is a joke I didn't get a chance to make is
oh, that's always good.
Reboots are made for Abrams, and that's just what he'll do. It's a song. Reboots are made for Abrams, and that's just what he'll do. One of these days, reboots are gonna Wookiee over you. Go. Wait. Closing thought.
Okay, so what's your closing thought? That was yours.
That's all that's in my head.
Murray,
and I cannot think
your
of
turn.
I think he will do a good job. There's always the concerns that I have about anyone not doing them before, and there's such a classic franchise.
I think he'll be fine in that regard. So here's the final question of the night. If you were to rate, this is going to be a complete blind guess. We're going to be able to guess 1 through 7 from best to worst, and I'm not asking you to rate all 7. Where will episode 7 land when it's done?
Wow.
Well, it won't land any further down than
4?
Than 4, yeah. I was trying to, 7, 6, 5 are taken. I'll place it at a 3.
You think it's going to be one of the original, huh?
I think so.
Okay.
But only one.
And this is, I mean, as a fan perspective, I don't care how much money it makes. It's how it's received by the fans, the true hardcore, longtime Star Wars fans.
And I'm gonna have to put it at 4.
You're gonna put it at 4. You think the original 3 are always gonna be better than whatever else is ever put out?
Is it a close 4, or is it a kind of like almost 5?
I wouldn't lump
go
it with the first 3.
Okay. So you think it'll be between the 2?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna go 3 or 4, just because I think it's gonna come down to here's my reasoning. It comes down to the soundtrack for me. If the soundtrack is consistent with in quality and feel to the original 6, I think then you've got a movie that's gonna have that feel. And if the soundtrack doesn't have that feel, and it's beyond the soundtrack, it's the whole feel of the movie. If it doesn't have the feel of Star Wars, then it's gonna bump lower for me.
Weren't we saying that the Star Trek preview didn't feel like Star Trek? It felt more like Star Wars. I think
was
the
just
feeling is going to be
practicing.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with 3. And
See?
any final thoughts?
None.
Okay.
None from me. Do you have any? Are you
Nope.
thinking?
All right.
I'm fine.
Well, then we
We
are
don't think.
way out of time because we've gone longer than we've ever gone before. And we'll see you around the corner.
Geek out.